we use a sensory imaginary to fuel desire, right? So the sensory imaginary is ability to mentally stimulate the sight, sound, smell, taste, and feel of an experience, right? So just imagine, right? So you are having something, yeah, or you are kind of anticipating something, and you can really bring about all these pictures associated with it, and as more vivid picture, as more anticipation and more excitement it brings about, and you may even feel how your heart rate raises and your salivation secretion, increases as well because of that, right? Because it activates all sort of chains of reactions in your body. And an interesting fact that when we think about tasty foods, palatable foods, our brain activates the similar regions responsible for the reward and pleasure as in alcohol, cigarette, and drug addicts, right? Because it's like similar brain regions which are basically taking care of our feelings in terms of a good emotional response. And there is lots of studies where they kind of put people in a chamber and they were telling them to imagine, they were basically telling them the stuff which they knew gonna get them excited, and they found that basically in people who are getting addicted to food, and people who are suffering with binge eating, emotional eating, and things like that, with different eating disorders, that in our brain the same regions getting activated as in kind of the drug addicts and alcohol and cigarette addicts, because then we have these specific hormones get secreted, right? So is it really about the willpower? Then we need to ask, because there is a lot of science behind it, yeah, all these hormones and how it works, and that elaboration and all this, what is going on inside of our head. So we just need to understand that positive imaginary may boost your mood and happiness, right? If you're going to be like imagining positive aspects in your life, then you have that raise of mood, you're feeling happier, you're feeling better on a daily basis, right? When you just try to imagine some good events in our life, like, I don't know, you got kids, and just like you're trying to recall the good moments you've been through, like with your kids, and this is gonna bring the smile about, and you're gonna feel happier and better, right? Or if you're gonna start imagining the negative aspects and negative memories from your life, and this might trigger like stress, anxiety, although there is no stressful situations in the moment. If you're going to be imagining these stressful situations, or some negative imaginary, then this may trigger all sort of responses in terms of you're going to feel stressed, anxious, low, tired, not in the mood, and things like that. And this is really important to understand these days. And advertising companies, they're using these tricks all over the world, when they, let's say, when they market the coffee, they always like, oh, the smell of the coffee, right? They kind of drop the coffee beans, and you kind of imagine all these great shapes of the beans and the things like that. They really make you desire for it, right? Or warm cookie, right? So the warm cake, and then they make you to feel how it's warm, how it's melting inside of your mouth, and the things like that. Cheesy pizza, yes, sizzling cheesy pizza, fatty pizza, yeah, with all this kind of pepperoni on top, and then nice and fried on top, right? Or juicy juice, yeah. So this is like, they do this for not for no reason. They completely understand all these tricks, and this is why sometimes when you watching television or something, right? So all it takes, just see that picture and you get those responses in your head sometimes, yeah. But it all depends as well on many other factors which we are going to be going through today with you. And it may start with simple intrusive thought, right? So you may have that quick spontaneous thought in your mind, even without seeing all these pictures and the things like that. You may retrieve some sort of associations in your memory in different situations, and then depending on the environment you're in, right? Are you at work, or are you at home? Are you busy, right? Current task, maybe if you're working and you're really focused on something, then this intrusive fleeting thought will be just quick to go away because you're going to be really busy with something else. Or if you sit at home and you're bored, there is nothing to do, and you got time, and then guess what? This gets deeper, deeper inside in your head. So it really depends, depending on your environment, your current task, your memory load, as I said. Yeah, if you are really busy with something, then unlikely that any sort of cravings will take over or urges will take over your mind. It's because, you know, your memory and your focus is loaded with something else. And then through the substance availability, if you have loads of stuff you are craving for around you at home, then guess what? Again, you know, it's so difficult to resist because that fleeting thought inside in your mind already triggers that, you know, you already know where you've got that food and that it's really close to you, and you know it's so difficult to resist it. And positive or negative associations, because we're going to be going through this again and again and again, right? So we need to understand that now we need to raise the level of negative associations with those foods you are consuming and situation you are in, so that when you have those responses, right, you recall all these negative associations and they kind of play role like a barrier of yourself, right, for reaching out for that cookie. And whenever you're thinking about that cookie, if you can get deep inside in your head all these negative associations of having that cookie and eating that cookie, then you are increasing your chance of resisting those temptations, if it makes sense. So, and then depending on these factors we just discussed right now, the thought is either fleeting or it's getting elaborated. Yeah, it's falling into elaboration. So elaboration process, what is that, right? So elaboration involves images, right, when we start to crave or think about food. So this is like we consciously start to think about this. We're retrieving from our memory all these pictures like, oh, it would be so nice to have that packet of crisp right now. I love the, I don't know what shapes, like rings and onion rings or anything like that, and you start to imagine how it looks and the picture in it and the things like that, and it gets deeper, deeper inside in your mind, right? The thoughts getting more intense and intense. You get loads of associative factors with that, you know, like feelings and emotions and everything what it brings about, and you really activating your brain regions because it's all about your past experiences, because you had it in the past and you can really recall how was it, you know, how it tastes, how it looks, the shape of it and things like that, the sensations. Yeah, because you can recall that it was tasty or maybe sour or something like that, and then you can start really recalling it, right? So, but then if you haven't got it on you, you may feel the discomfort, yeah, huge discomfort, because you were craving for it and you got nothing like with you, and then you're like getting really upset, and then your mood drops down, right? And then you start to be very responsive to cues. Yeah, so that search is getting activated because you know you just craving for it, because again you're looking for reward, you're looking for pleasure, right? And this may trigger all sense of negative emotions, because if you haven't got it with you at the moment, you may get stressed, sad, upset, angry, right? And this makes that desire even more intense, because now you're feeling angry because of that, and you don't want to feel angry, you don't want to feel stressed, you don't want to feel anxious, and guess what, you want to run away from those emotions, and you seeking the comfort behind the foods again, and it gets intense and intense. But more of this we're going to be covering in emotional eating training. And then, you know, based on all these factors and what is going on in our head, elaboration transitions to intense desire. So, and you start to feel like, I want this right now, I can't wait, I want it so much. And then if you drive a car and there is a shop, you know, nearby you, and then you're like, I can't wait, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna pull over, you know, go to the shop and buy something just to destroy it. But what is a craving, right? So the craving is defined as an intense desire or urge to consume a specific food, beverage, or substance, right? Because desire, we need to understand that Desire is not an emotion. This is the conscious state, and we choose to elaborate that inside in our head based on everything what we discussed in the past, right? Because it's not something happens for no reason, spontaneously, and a lot of people feel like, oh, I don't know why is this happening, this is just happening. Well, but actually you choosing to think this way, and this is why that desire getting so intense. And as I said before, then you turn on visual search and elevate sensitivity to cues. Then you starting waiting for a bus, you standing waiting for a bus, and then one bus passing by, and there is like cheesy burger on it, and then you're like, boom, McDonald's aside in your head, yeah, or something else, or it could be something different, right? Someone passing you by and just saying, word chocolate, and you're like, wow, I catch this, right? I can hear now. And then you are passing the takeaway, and you can really smell the food, and you can imagine the chips, anything like that. So it can get really, really intense. So, and if you haven't got it on you at the moment, the sense of deficit may trigger frustration, anger, irritability, stress, and anxiety, as we discussed before, yeah? Because you want that food, you haven't got it, and then you are shaking because, like, I want it. It's not there, right? So, and to feel different or better, I need this food or drink, yeah, whatever you're craving for. You just feel like this is the only option. I need to run away from those feelings and emotions, and I really need to get it. So, desire is a conscious wish or urge to gain pleasure, relief, discomfort, or satisfy a want, or to engage in consummatory behavior associated with emotional outcomes, right? So desire itself is a conscious state. So it's not like something we cannot control. If it's conscious state, then we can exert a full control over it. We just need to know how to, we just need to train ourselves, and we just need to understand all these patterns. And it is possible, because it's not some sort of behavior that you cannot break through. If it's conscious state, if you're choosing to elaborate and choosing to put your focus on everything, what is going on in your head, then you can choose other directions as well. So this is the matter of choice. It's not a difficult choice. I'm not saying it's easy. This all requires repetitions and learning and knowing how, and only then you are able to kind of do that. And all this knowledge we're going to be covering through, this is going to kind of, when next time you're going to have some urges and desires, you're going to be more mindful and more aware of what's going on. And this is, this is the reason why we are going through these trainings as well. So desire involves verbal thoughts, so we're kind of saying it, yeah, oh, I want it right now, I want this, oh, it's such a lovely shape of that cake, and the things like that, and images inside of our head, so we start to picture that, right? So it's like, I want a chocolate. It's not like you're saying, but you can really imagine that chocolate bar. You're really wanting sensations, right? So you can feel, you can imagine how it would feel if you would have it, right? You always say like, oh, it would be nice to have it. Why are you saying? Because you're anticipating those nice feelings. And again, it's all because of memory associations. And then you are just basically mapping out the plan inside in your head. You're already kind of, all right, so I'm gonna end work today. You just started work in the morning, but you already know how you're gonna choose, what road you're gonna go, where you're gonna go to get to the shop or somewhere you need to meet that target inside in your head, right? By the end of the day.